Welcome to the Convo, where we bring you trendy topics and sizzling conversations. I'm your host, Chai. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing men and pregnancy. And I have here my friends, Tak and Tolu.
Hi.
Thank you guys for joining me on today's episode. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Are you guys ready?
Definitely.
You can loosen up a bit.
Yes.
Shake it off. Shake it off. Great. Thank you guys so much for coming on, and I hope we have a great show. So we're going to be discussing men during pregnancy. Like, how involved should a man be during pregnancy? I don't know. Do you have a... I've never been through, the whole pregnancy thing, so I want to actually hear from your perspective. I don't know. Do you have a child? Or?
I don't.
You don't?
But I still have a belief system towards it.
To it. Oh, great. What about you, Tolu?
I don't have any kids, but
Okay.
I'm a midwife and I'm a big advocate of men should be involved in every step of the way. So yes.
Okay, great. So we're going to have that conversation. So how involved, I'll start with you, Tak. How involved do you think a man should be when it comes to the different stages of pregnancy?
Well, I think that it's a process that he was involved from the beginning. So he needs to be involved throughout. And at least as much as involved as he can. I mean, the majority of the responsibility is definitely going to be on her, just because, you can't force somebody to eat right. You can't force somebody to exercise. You can't. But I think that he should be an encouraging factor in the process. You know what I mean?
Okay. What about in terms of like every single appointment? Those appointments like the yoga, like I watch it on a movie, so I haven't been through it, but I watch the whole prenatal, I forgot what do they call them?
Yeah, prenatal classes,
Those
antenatal classes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
childbirth classes.
So what do you think about that? Should they be involved in including that, like every single appointment?
Every single appointment. So I think they should go to all the antenatal appointments, so where they have the checkups with the midwives or the OB/GYNs. I think they should go to the antenatal classes, so they're like childbirth preparation classes, because you also understand what the woman is going through. So like hormones makes women kind of crazy, in a sense, for lack of a better term, in pregnancy. So one minute they're really happy, next minute they're crying over the list, like the smallest things. And to a man, he might just think, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you being so dramatic?
Yeah.
But if you understand that it's the hormones that's making her go through all these changes, you know how to support her better. But if men don't go to the antenatal classes, antenatal appointments, then how do you know?
Understand.
Yeah. And how...
I even think it helps too when it comes to like you said, managing it. Because what if something happens at home and it's just you two and you guys are just like clueless? I'm throwing this question to you. Do you think this has now to do with the labor room?
Okay.
Would you want to be present
No,
in the labor room?
I don't really want to be in there. I think I'm from that school of thought that, the guys are waiting outside, you know what I mean? We're waiting to light the cigars, you know what I mean? Once they bring the baby out, hey, this is a boy, hey, I got a boy, hey, let's drink it, let's be merry. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm going to be there. And then going back on when you were saying every appointment, I don't know how realistic that is in today's society, because everybody has to be busy, there's a lot of responsibilities, and I don't think that it's only through appointments that somebody could actually garnish knowledge on what to do and know there's hormones going on. So I think that he should be educated.
Absolutely.
And he should know, okay, well, these might be factors in what she might be going through. But as far as saying, okay, I need to be there for every appointment, I think if you can, great. If you can, know it, but you shouldn't take the responsibility of gaining that knowledge that you need to know.
Oh, okay. Back to the labor room thing. I think I would want my husband to be like there.
Yes.
Probably holding me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you agree.
Yes.
You've been through a few what is the word?
Labors?
Deliveries.
Yes. Yeah, almost 1,000. Yes. I've been
almost
a few.
1,000.
Yeah.
So you do like private or?
So I worked as a clinical midwife for about 8-9 years, but now I just do health education, which is just preparing parents, not just because it's massive, I think, preparing parents for what to expect in labor and so forth. So I think it goes in nicely with what you said, Tak, because fair enough, men can't be at every single antenatal appointment, but men should do their part in seeking the knowledge. So how do I prepare myself for this baby and to support my wife? So I totally agree. I think men should be in the labor room. I definitely think men should be in the labor room because you've been there for the whole
process,
right? The whole process.
I get that.
And you don't have to be, I don't think men should be at the end of the bed. because I think men are quite visual. I might be wrong.
My brother actually mentioned something one day, and I thought it was funny about being at the opposite end. He was like, I cannot see that baby come out because that would just be it.
Yes.
Like,
Literally.
I'll be scarred.
Yes.
You know, so you're not an advocate of being at the other end.
No.
Okay.
Because like I was saying, I think men are visual. So, and that memory will stay, or whatever they've seen will stay in their minds. And it's actually ruined quite a few marriages that I know of, yes. At the end, so if you don't want to be there when she's pushing, you can be there to support her while she's in labor. Because a lot of men tend to faint. Like, I've seen tall, huge men, literally, they look funny, and then the next minute they're on the floor. At that point, I'm saying, oh, God, please, you need to leave the room. Like somebody, honestly. But you don't have to be there for delivery. You can be there all the way leading up to it.
Yeah, and I agree.
Okay.
That's fine, because, I mean, there might be different aspects. I don't know, there might be some weird smells that you're not accustomed to. It might be a situation that's just too intense for you as a man. Like, I mean, men can get in fights, and we can deal with that level of intensity, but this, like, childbirth process, if you know that, hey, I'm probably gonna have a problem with this, I think that it has to be that level of understanding.
Absolutely, I agree.
Let me. I still got your back. I'm still gonna get you all the way through everything else. But I mean, there's gonna be some spaces and some times that I think that
okay, fair enough.
Call your mom, call your aunt.
Yes.
I mean, as long as there's somebody who can give you that support.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Understood. I actually get your point clearly as well as hers, but I still believe that he needs to be there.
Yes,
because I feel like that's not even that. Like, I just feel like that this is like the grand finale. You know, you can't like go through practice and then miss the game. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is like the grand finale.
That's a game just starting. I mean, you have so much to worry about after that.
So pretty much, you two made this baby. You both sorted out together. So it's not, because I know we live in a culture where, you know, the man is more of, he provides, he does this. As long as he's there, you know, financially, the woman should be able to. And that's why a lot of women, I feel like, fall into like the postpartum depression and stuff like that, because they tend to lose a bit of themselves. But I feel like if they maybe have that strong support system, like you were saying, will have less of that.
Absolutely. And also, you know, men have postpartum depression as well.
I heard
men have postpartum depression, and I think a way of actually addressing that is also getting the man to be more involved. Because if you're more involved, another thing we do is we isolate men. We just think, oh, like, you haven't had a baby, you don't need to be cared for, you don't need to be looked after, whatever. But if you bring the man on board, so men do skin to skin, men do diaper changes, do the bathing the baby. He's also more involved. You're still connecting with your wife, or your partner. You don't feel like I'm left out and everybody's doing everything for her. It also helps with bonding, and also reduces the risk of men developing postpartum depression as well. Because it happens, but men don't ever talk about it, especially as African men. Because you just have to be strong. But it happens to men too. So everything we're saying is to build that stronger family unit.
Great. That's actually a great point that you raised, and I think we're going to actually close on that note. That's a great point that you brought up. So it helps with the bonding and also strengthens your relationship, and everybody is happier. So pretty much just share the stress. Literally share the stress and help out as much as you could. Well, time permits you to, because like you said, you got to go make that break, because it's important, because diapers are expensive. So, so we need you guys to still work, but you know, when you can, you know, help and support. Everybody needs support. Okay, so right before we go, I'd love to hear, I want you to give like advice to women, and you give advice to men.
Sure.
So I think, well, I'll try and give my advice to women, but also falls under the responsibility of men too.
Or maybe we should just do that. You from a male perspective give that, and then you from a woman's perspective, right? I think that's fair. Okay. So or you can give to both.
Yeah, it applies to both.
Yes. Okay.
I think a big part of people's relationship, especially after childbirth, every man wants to see his woman bounce back and get back in shape and all this stuff. But I think that the men need to actually be that support system that she's going to utilize to enable her to do a little bit more. You know, I mean, healthcare and getting in shape and stuff like that, it's important in one's life. And you can't just say, oh, well, I've had children, let me just sit back and that's it. I don't need to be attractive to my spouse any longer because I've had your child after all. No, we need to get in the mentality of, and the guy needs to know how much he needs to help her out and being able to get back to that. Because if she's taking care of all the responsibilities and he's not helping out enough, how do you expect you to now say, okay, well, let me even get a little workout in as well?
Yeah.
So he needs to be understanding and say, hey, you know what, let me help you as much as possible. And then let's actually, try to get back what we had.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
love that too. How does one, you said it.
I don't have any children yet. It's never too late. Both of you. I don't y'all know.
My parting words would be for the man to educate himself as much as possible,
Okay.
and for the couple to communicate. So communicate the good and the bad, because if you communicate anything, it makes it easier to deal with whatever the issue is. But if he's feeling some type of way and she's feeling some type of way, nobody's saying anything, that's when you start to build walls and bridges and so forth. Having a child is challenging for anybody, even if you have the biggest support network ever. So it's if you communicate beautifully, I think you can't go wrong. And then the woman is naturally educating herself, so men need to be really also educate himself and don't feel away asking for help, support, speaking to other new dads, just getting as much information, knowledge as possible. It will help. It goes a long way.
That was actually a great point that you came up with, like a support group, talk to your other friends who have kids and stuff like that. So let's talk about sex during pregnancy and sex after childbirth, right? I don't know, you're a midwife. Do you encourage sex during pregnancy?
Absolutely.
To aid with the whole
Yes,
process?
yes. And also because the woman is pregnant, she's not sick. Pregnancy is not a disease.
Yeah.
So she is pregnant. So life should continue as normal. And I know obviously she will have sexual urges and men will have sexual urges, or her partner will have sexual urges. It doesn't change. And I think it's just to encourage the woman to start thinking, just be more creative, do positions that's comfortable for her, comfortable for him. And once again, communicate, talk about these things. But it's really important. And I think especially leading up to labor, it's really important that women, if they can, because if I say that women should continue, having sex with their husbands, it almost seems like I'm saying everyone has to know, because it does get challenging, it does get tricky, women get quite uncomfortable. But ideally, yes, I think women should definitely. Partners should definitely still engage in sexual activities. But then sometimes as well, though, it's not necessarily, you don't have to have sexual intercourse, because when we say sexual activities, it's way more than just having sexual intercourse. It could be anything that you've agreed to do together. So, yes.
Interesting. I almost want to dig deeper in that, but I don't know. You say anything you've agreed to do together. I'm like,
whatever they're comfortable doing, yes.
Okay, I'm going to pass the baton to you.
Yeah.
Because I know some people, okay, so I haven't been through any of this. Even my older brother is not married or anything, but when we have some conversations, like with his friends and stuff, they'll say stuff like, I can't even touch my wife when she's pregnant. I don't want to be slapping the child with.
Poking anybody in the head.
What is your take on that? Because I know some guys are uncomfortable with that, and then, like she said, women have urges and men have urges as well.
And I think it's just down to educating yourself. Most things that you're uncomfortable with, you're only uncomfortable because you don't know anything outside of what you know. So if you educate yourself to the risk, okay, this is what we can do, this is a comfort level that we're going to have, because they're definitely both going to have urges at separate times, just like before they're conceived. You know what I mean? And I think that like the trickier part is probably after having the child.
Yeah.
Because I know there's going to be a certain amount of time that, okay, there should be no action. And then once you know, and then even if you get into it slowly, but like I said earlier, it's all about communication. You know what I mean? You guys communicate and you figure it out together.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just no situation is going to be the same. So.
Okay, so just find a comfortable position for both.
But it's important, I think it's still important, especially afterwards, because
it's very important.
Because once anybody that has that itch, so you have to explore ways you can still satisfy that itch. Guys have to be sensitive enough to say, okay, well, you know what, she's probably going to be tired at these times. And you have to, no situation is going to be ideal. Yeah. You might be ready, the baby's now fussing up. She might be ready and you're not, but just find a way to make it work.
Okay.
Find that balance.
Right. I think.
No, actually, I was going to ask you, how long should one wait after childbirth to now engage in sexual
Textbook
activities?
says at least 6 weeks.
At least 6 weeks, so it's
yes.
about a month, 2 weeks.
Yeah, a month and a half. Some people some people have sexual intercourse before then, especially if they haven't had a vaginal delivery, if they don't have any tears, if they don't have stitches. Textbook, I would say everyone should wait 6 weeks. Does that mean a woman is fully recovered by 6 weeks with a cesarean section? No. And then some people, it is way after. I know people who have gone months. I think someone said up to 10 months after, because it's a psychological thing. So if you're not psychologically ready to be intimate like that or to have sexual intercourse with your husband or partner, then you're just not ready. So rather than everything goes back to communication. Yeah. So let's communicate. I really want this. I'm not ready. I'm ready. How do you feel? Because some men might even think, God, how can I do this again after she's just had this child and all that stuff? It's communication. And then also, not everything has to be sexual intercourse. There are other things. Discuss it.
Be creative.
Be creative. Go back to...
Can you guys stop giving me like the general creative, like what?
I mean, there's a lot that goes into... It's not just sex. When you're having sex, there's foreplay. There's a lot that goes into having, like, being intimate with your partner. Start with being intimate. Okay. Start with, I don't know. I don't know.
Everybody knows the process. I think by now everybody knows the
process of what?
Of having sex. Everyone knows that, okay, you know what, if we can't do this, we can do this. If we can't do that, we can do that. And it's the person's comfort level, or both people's comfort level. So what are you guys comfortable with doing? And how are you guys going to feed this need that you guys are both going to potentially have?
Great. Well said. Well said. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I've had a lot of fun on this episode and I learned a lot. Thank you guys so much, Tolu and Tak. Thank you for being on my couch.
Of course, okay.
And you guys at home for watching. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I hope you learned a lot in terms of pregnancy and couples. We just did a couple therapy session right here. Hope you guys learned a lot on this episode. Until next time, you're watching The Convo, and this is Chai.